Glory to Ukraine, glory to the defenders of Azovstal.
This is the footage of raising the blue and yellow flag on Snake Island, a small but strategically important piece of land for Ukraine. The operation to liberate the island from the Russian army took 2 months. The Security Service of Ukraine, intelligence, Special Operation Forces, naval and air troops of the Armed Forces of Ukraine were engaged in the deoccupation of the island.
Fire on Russian occupiers on Snake Island.
According to the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Valery Zaluzhny, one of the final roles in a struggle for the island 35 kilometers from the Ukrainian coast was played by the Ukrainian Bogdana self-propelled howitzer. The battle for Snake Island began on the first day of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. On February the 24th, 2 ships approached the Ukrainian base on the island. Russians demanded the defenders to surrender, to which they had an answer that became part of the history of this war.
Otherwise, you will be bombed. Russian warship, go yourself. Here's what the life's like on a Snake Island.
The enemy attacked the island using the Moskva missile cruiser and the Vasily Bykov corvette. Later on, the Ukrainian army successfully sank both of them. Enemy aircraft also helped to occupy Snake Island. Even at the beginning of the battle for the island, Ukrainian intelligence reported that Snake Island is of strategic importance. It allows one to control the surface and partially the air over the south of Ukraine. A battle for the island would be until the last man standing. The physical deoccupation took a week, from June 22nd to June the 30th.
Russian warship, go yourself.
The escape of the Russian occupiers under the fire of Ukrainian artillery was called a gesture of goodwill in the Kremlin. Interestingly, Russia's goodwill was followed by its own shelling of the island with banned phosphorus bombs on July the 1st. Special Operation Forces said that on the night of July the 7th, swimmers approached the island in underwater vehicles. They determined whether military surprises of goodwill were expected. The engineers continued the operation, clearing the island of mine traps. All this time, the warships of the Russian Federation were maneuvering near Snake Island.
Having completed the task, the group left the island. After that, the Russians launched a missile attack on Snake Island, hitting the pier. The group of Ukrainian servicemen returned on the base unscathed, from the statement of the Special Operations Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine.
The liberation of Snake Island will give a chance for the export of agricultural products from Ukraine, in particular grain, through the Danube River, the Ukrainian Seaports Administration reported. The Institute of Black Sea Strategic Studies believes that land roads still remain an alternative for food logistics.
The main efforts and hopes in the coming month are on land routes. Why? Because the resumption of control over Snake Island and the emergence of additional anti-ship missiles, unfortunately, cannot affect the problem of another 450 kilometers of the route from Odesa to the Bosphorus. 150 kilometers is the distance from Odesa to Snake Island, and the first 150 do not look safe until the Black Sea coast of the Kherson region is deoccupied. Andriy Klimenko, head of the Institute for Black Sea Strategic Studies, on Facebook.
The symbolism of the victory on Snake Island is also important. The armed forces of Ukraine managed to fulfill what they said on February the 24th in response to a call to surrender. Ukrainian servicemen are unlikely to take positions on Snake Island themselves. They do not need it. The island's mission is to hold the Ukrainian flag, said Mason Clark of the Institute for War Studies. Former US advisor and military expert Alexander Windman called the liberation of the island a strategic and moral victory. Ukraine can take advantage of the Russian withdrawal to open the port of Odesa. Analyst H.I. Sutton, an expert on submarines and underwater military technology, believes the island is so important that if the armed forces of Ukraine returns to Snake Island, fighting there could continue. Reported by Pavlo Stelmach, Yulia Bezborodko, UATV News.